1. I, 23 and female, always go for a long walk before work starts in the morning with my 11-month-old Scottish Terrier. He was rescued from a heavily abusive household, so there are some quirks he has that we're still having to work through. An important thing to note is that the price of purebreds in the country have skyrocketed, and there is currently a waiting list for over a year for people who'd like to adopt dogs because of the pandemic. There is a city park across the street from my flat, with a primary school adjacent. In that park, there is also a dog section where they're allowed to run free. As I'm walking, my dog pauses to pee on a tree. I had my AirPods in and couldn't hear this woman until she came very close to me. When I took them off, she started screaming at me that dogs were not allowed to pee on the grass near the school, and that I should know better. An important thing to note is that because of my dog's history, when he gets nervous, he can stay in the squatting position for over 10 minutes until he feels comfortable to go. This woman raising her voice at us definitely made him nervous. I immediately apologized and said that I wasn't aware it was a rule, but I'll definitely keep that in mind for next time. Since she was very close to me and neither of us were wearing a mask, I tried to pull my dog away to find another spot he could pee in. The thing is, my dog was very much stuck in the deer caught in headlights mode and simply would not budge. Before I could get the chance to pick him up and walk away, this woman went to my dog, grabbed him by the handle on his harness, and started walking away. This caused my dog to start panicking, and he was yelping at the top of his lungs. I ran up to her, not caring about the fact that neither of us were wearing masks, and tried to grab my dog from her. This woman actually kicked me hard enough that I fell on the ground and said verbatim, "I'm rescuing this dog away from you because clearly you're an abusive owner and he deserves better. My daughter has been waiting for a puppy and she deserves to have a dog." Thankfully, since we were so close to the dog park I frequent 2 or 3 times a day, one of the people I'm friendly with heard the commotion and called the cops. My dog has a GPS collar on him because I often go to my family's chalet where he is allowed to run free, and it's a very rural area with fencing to prevent bears or other predators from coming into the property. We were able to use the app to find my dog, and when the police approached the woman, she concocted this story of her rescuing my dog and how the world has a way of working itself out, because she had been looking to get her daughter a pet for being such a good girl. Apparently, dog theft is common, so there is a procedure they have to work through to verify the owner. Asked to see the dog and his tags to make sure that he was registered to my name. When the police asked her to recite the details on my dog's tags, she started screaming about how she witnessed me abusing my dog and that it doesn't matter that I technically own the dog. They shouldn't give him back, and I deserve to rot in jail completely unprovoked. She actually thought that she'd be able to take my dog away from me. The original event all took place close enough to the school that there was CCTV footage of the entire incident. The cop who was helping me suggested I go to the ER quickly because the kick I received was giving me a lot of pain. The entitled mum managed to inflict more damage than I thought she was capable of, and when the police asked if I wanted to press charges, I agreed. My dog and I are now spending the day on my couch, and I've taken the day off work. The sheer level of entitlement this woman felt towards my pet shocked me, and I truly didn't realize prior that there are people who think like this. 2. I'm 18 years old. 17 years old when this happened. I live in the Netherlands and I work at a local supermarket where I work as a stock clerk. Almost every week we have a discount on certain items. It's called the bonus, and sometimes when you buy 2 or 3 items from one brand, you get some special product from that brand. A beer glass when you buy a 6-pack of that brand, a Lipton iced tea hat when you buy a certain amount of bottles, etc. That week, when you bought 3 items from this kid's brand, you get this rather creepy-looking doll. This is basically what the story is based around. And oh boy, am I glad we don't offer kids' toys with these products anymore. I was working in the afternoon on a Thursday like usual, when a kid, entitled kid, walks by slowly. I of course don't think anything of this, as I'm just doing my job. She walks by about 3 times, and the 4th time, she asks me if the dolls are out of stock. I explained to her that more will be coming that evening, and that she would unfortunately have to wait. She asked how late, and I told her that they would probably arrive after closing time because of a delayed shipment, so she would have to wait until the next day. She walks away with quite a sad face, and I felt bad for her. Though I continued working, I didn't really think about it anymore. Fast forward a bit around 2 hours later. It's almost closing time, just 5 more minutes, and I was pretty tired. This is where the entitled mother comes in without the entitled kid. She looked angry. The mother stomps straight towards me and quite angrily asks me if I was the boy that told her daughter that she couldn't have one of those dolls. Me, being tired as hell, looks at her with a confused face, and after processing the question, I remember the kid that asked for the doll. Yes, that's me. Do you know how you made my little girl cry? I'm sorry for upsetting your daughter, but dolls are out of stock and won't arrive until... I don't care about the time it arrives. You will get me a doll right now, or I will make sure you get fired. I will do everything to make sure more dolls arrive as soon as possible, but the store closes in 5 minutes, and... I want to look in the back. I don't believe you. She was pretty much screaming at the moment. I see a colleague of mine in another part of the store look up from the work he was doing and listening to where the noise was coming from. He just continued doing his work, and I did not want to call him because I thought I could handle this myself. Nah. I bring the EM to the back where we keep the dolls, when we have them. I normally never let people into this section because it's only for employees. But I didn't want her to go super Karen, so I let her in. I grab one of the terminals. It's a small device that we use to keep track of the stock in the warehouse and the quantity of products we order in the next shipment. I show her that there is currently no dolls in the store, and before I can show her the order we placed for new dolls, she grabs the terminal, which is worth around 1,400 euros or $1,600, and throws it on the fucking ground. I immediately ask my boss to come to the warehouse through my earpiece. The entitled mother knows she can't touch me or cause me any harm because A, I'm under the age of 18, so it's basically child abuse, and B, there are cameras everywhere, and she already knew that. But apparently only point A interests her, and she proceeds to kick all the wagons of goods we have standing in the warehouse. She also threw 6 packs of wine and beer on the floor, which made a horrible mess. After about 1 minute of this constant fear in me, my boss and 3 team leaders arrive in the warehouse and take a look at the situation. My boss was, well, not happy with the situation. Apparently he took some kind of fight training because he grabs the EM in a certain position, so she is pinned on the ground with nowhere to move. One of the team leaders is asked to call the police. Within 20 minutes, the police arrive at our warehouse. I was surprised that the woman didn't attempt to kick or slap my boss, because she's been laying on the ground for this long. The 2 policemen are guided to the office by 2 team leaders, while me, the 3rd team leader, and boss are still in the back of the store. After about 10 minutes, which felt like an eternity to me, the policemen and team leaders come back, and one of the policemen put the woman in handcuffs. After that, we all go to the office. The entitled mother is giving me death glares the entire way there. She also kind of whisperingly swears at me, and is calling me all the names out there. When we get to the office, I feared I would have done something wrong that would indeed get me fired. And this begins with the entitled mother having the right to talk before me. Of course she lies in a pretty big way, saying that I touched her kid. The officers probably already knew that was not the case, and asked some questions about that to me. I was struggling to find the right words because I have never been in a situation like this, and I was on the verge of crying. I told them they needed to check the camera footage from 2.5 hours before this. They found the moment where the girl came up to me, and I didn't put a finger near her. The boss compliments me for keeping enough distance due to COVID, but that didn't really come through to me because I could only think of what could happen if they did not believe me. I knew the proof was there that I didn't touch the entitled kid at all. That was nice to know. The policeman knew enough and took the woman away from us, probably off to the police station where she deserves to be. Boss and team leaders compliment me on handling the situation and come with me to the warehouse to help me clean up. Boss notices I wasn't in a good state to continue working, and he gave me a can of soda and told me I could go to the break room to take a break and cool down from this. Eventually, he just sent me home, because I was too emotional from all the threats the woman was constantly telling me. When I came home, I told my parents the entire story, and they were shocked. They asked me if I wanted to continue working there, and I did. There was nothing wrong with the place itself, just very rarely the people that buy stuff there. Me and Boss made her lay the rule of not doing this with the dolls and children's toys anymore, because this happened a few times before, not this bad. It would solve the problem of entitled kids, and I have never seen one ever since. Thanks for listening to my story. 3. My dad is a total entitled narcissist. He thinks he and everyone who follows him around deserve the world. Because of this, for a few years of my life, I was an entitled kid. I have many stories, but this one is, in my opinion, the worst thing I've ever done. Please note that I was a little kid at the time, I'm autistic, and I'm very easily influenced. So please don't judge me too harshly. My dad and I like to go on walks through these old tin mines. Not the actual mines, they were closed off, but we wandered around that area and sometimes threw rocks down into the pits to hear them clash against the old walls. On the path back is a graveyard, and sometimes we would go in to say hi to my dad's friend, who unfortunately passed away. Rest in peace, Tammy. I'll forever be grateful to you for being such a positive part of my life. On this particular trip, we visited Tammy, and the visit was hardly special, just another sad day. However, little me noticed something sitting on a tree that was connected to a grave, a teddy bear. Now, little me was addicted to plushies and toys, to the point that one time I attempted to jump off a building in order to catch a plushie I had dropped off the edge. Thankfully, Dad stopped me. Dad appreciated this. He thought it was cute. So he spoiled me rotten, buying me all sorts of toys and teddies, so he would be the favorite parent. He and Mum divorced. She got custody and all my life. My dad has done everything in his power to try and get me to want to move in. My dad is an emotional and physical abuser. He was lucky enough to be able to just see me. So when I saw this bear, I instantly knew Dad would let me have it. So, being the little shit I was, I climbed the tree and took the bear. At this point, someone noticed. I don't think they knew who the bear belonged to, but they just watched a kid steal a bear from a literal grave. Of course they'd step in. Now, I don't remember what was said exactly, but I have a rough idea. "Excuse me, sweetie. Could you come down and leave the bear there? It's not nice to take things that aren't yours." I kinda just froze. As I've always been awkward at conversations, I climbed down, but I was still clutching the bear like it was an abused dog, and this woman was its owner trying to take it back from me after I'd saved it. At this point, Dad came storming over. "What the hell are you doing? Why are you talking to my kid?" "Your daughter took the bear from this grave, see? It's connected to the tree and—" "So? It's just a bear? People shouldn't keep toys out in the open when a poor child could grab it and get told off when they don't know any better? It's unfair, and it's honestly just torture for them. They don't need the bear anyway. It's not like they could play with it anymore." The poor woman was stunned. Dad was practically yelling at her for this. What really hurts me is how happy I remember being, knowing Dad was going to let me keep the bear, that he was telling off the naughty lady. I still remember those exact thoughts. The woman tried again, but Dad was already dragging me away with the bear. I'm guessing she didn't call the police or anyone, because we never got any consequences for that. Many years later, when I was 12, I got into a fight with Dad. I've never stood up to him or his abusive behavior before. This was the first time I did. The moment I stopped obeying his every command, he called me a disabled freak and threw me out. I had to call Mum to come get me, and to hopefully convince him to let me have my stuff. It's been a decade, and I've only just gotten access to the last of my things left behind. One thing I got when I was 15 was that bear, when Dad finally let me have the least valuable things in my room. By now, I had changed for the better, and was absolutely horrified by the memory of what I had done. I took the bear back, and placed it on the same tree branch it was originally. I even brought flowers as an apology, but I knew there was no being forgiven. I was just satisfied knowing that poor person got their bear back. You'll be happy to know the universe took revenge, and my dad wound up with problems that wound him up in hospital, not fatal, but extremely painful. While still an entitled asshole, he's learned his lesson about how important certain people are to him. when he thought he was going to die, so he's less abusive and manipulative at the very least. My significant other says that if you can recognize and feel guilt for something you've done and want to change, you're not as evil as you seem. I just pray that's true. This is the end of the story, but I'd like to just say thank you to my mum, Nana, and Granddad, the people who changed me into who I am now. They taught me kindness, compassion, and so much more. I went from an entitled kid that bullied people and tortured animals for fun to a person who lives by treating others nicely and is on a very sturdy path to becoming a vet. And I'm now someone who takes care of rescue animals, helping them have better lives. Thanks for listening. To anyone out there who thinks like me or my dad, please get help. You won't regret becoming someone better. 4. I found a job working from home when my kids were 9 and 12. I didn't have a set schedule, so I was sucked into every school party and class field trip. Other parents didn't show up, call G. No parents signed up, call G. Parent showed up smelling like Southern Comfort with a travel cup of iced tea, call G. 2 moms get into a fistfight in the parking lot over a shared boyfriend or baby daddy, call G, rinse repeat. I was grateful to be able to share those things with my kids, but it got old. My daughter was about 10 when I was called last minute to fill in on a Halloween zoo field trip. The asshole mom that cancelled forgot about having a mani-pedi appointment to go to with her costume. Seriously, I wish I was making that up. She got my cell number from a mutual friend and called me while I sat in a hot, stinky school bus. "Hi, sorry for doing that to you, but I knew you could fill in since you don't have a real job." This from a woman who collects a paycheck for working a pretend job at her husband's company. "What?" "I need you to drive her home after 2. Thanks, bye." I think that I looked like a goldfish for a few minutes. Mouth open, mouth closed, mouth open, mouth closed. Towards the end of the visit, her kid told me she spent the $50 that she'd brought with her. She called her mom, who told her that there were ATMs at the zoo and to ask me for money. I nicely told her no. She walked away pouting while scratching her head, but I didn't think anything of it. We were able to leave after we got back to the school. Again, see her scratch her head a few times, but I just thought dandruff or allergies. Hell, I'm not very bright. Asshole mom waves out the door as we drop her kid off, and we go home to start dinner before getting ready for trick-or-treating. I get an email from her about 10 minutes later. She said I should have given her the money. Her poor kid deserved it after the night she'd had. Her pediatrician said the kid had lice, and not to let her leave the house until she was treated and lice-free. Her mom didn't think it was that big of a deal and sent her to school anyway. She then said thanks for nothing and that she'd be telling everyone we know that I'm a bitch. I probably came close to breaking a land speed record driving to Walmart. My daughter and I have long, big curly hair, really thick, really curly. I bought 2 kits each to preemptively treat our hair. We stayed home that night, combing and combing instead of trick-or-treating. I tried to joke about it, but my daughter was miserable. Lice happens, but for fuck's sake, keep your kid at home and treat it. Fuck her. And bugs. 5. This just happened about an hour ago. I'm from the East Coast, but my grandparents live out in Arizona, so there is a big difference from both climates. For spring break, I had a flight scheduled to go out to Arizona and would spend a week there. I had a great time for the majority of it, and was able to see so many new lands that I had never seen before. Except this final day out west. We woke up, planning to go to the Sabino Valley. It was supposed to be an excellent tour since it was shuttle bus and went all throughout the valley and up Bear Mountain. When we got there, we went for a quick walk prior to getting on the shuttle, when the family showed up. So we have entitled mothers, fathers, kids, aunts, and some friends. We also have some normal people on board too. As we got on the shuttle, preparing to get on the tour, this family was upset when the law required them to wear a mask. Per Pima County law, facial coverings are required both over your mouth and your nose. All of these people came on without the mask, and ignored the rules stating you have to wear a mask. It's been 13 months. Since last March this hoax has been going on. When will it ever end? I got COVID. It truly sucked. I felt as if I was going to die. No, that was not COVID. You are lying. It was something else. Yeah, stop lying. This is a hoax and you know it. Stop listening to the liberals. At this point, I knew these people were going to be a problem. They kept going on and rumbling about COVID being a hoax, while also endangering their kids. Entitled Kid 1 was hanging out over the edge of the moving bus, getting dangerously close to falling off. Meanwhile, all the entitled Mother 1 could tell him was, "Honey, stop hanging off the edge. You could get hurt." As we went off the first stop, we walked out and got back with no problem. The Entitled Kid 1 and Entitled Kid 2 began to get at each other over who would sit at the edge of the seat and get to hang out over the edge. Their mother did nothing but tell them to cooperate. Entitled Kid 2 got to sit at the edge and hang out over the edge this time. Before going to the second stop, the bus driver told the family, "You need to put on your mask, it's the law of the county." Entitled Dad 1 says under his breath, "He's still lying to us. Shut the fuck up." We got to the second stop and got off to take some pictures. I was not on the shuttle, but my grandfather, who had some weak legs from all the walking we did over the previous few days, stayed on the bus. This is what he heard. "Our governor is so corrupt. He wants to make us have income tax and force us to wear a mask. If it was up to me, I'd shoot him and take the capital. Blood will be shed if he passes a law." "So true. He's a despicable human being. These stupid mask laws are only here to kill us." These people were from Pennsylvania, and they were heavy Republicans, continually causing issues and overall being pretty rude. Me and my grandmother got back onto the bus, about ready to go, when the family again didn't put on their masks. The bus driver again got back up and told him, "Sir, you and your group need to wear a mask over your nose and mouth. If not, you'll have to be kicked off of the tour." "Well, how rude of him to tell us what to do." Entitled Friend 1 chooses this point to chime in. "Yeah, he's being lied to. All the Democratic hoaxes telling them to wear the things to choke you out. I still won't wear a mask. It's anti-American." The family was, at this point, half and half on wearing masks. Some of the ones who did wear masks wore them properly, but some wore them under their nose, chin, and even one had one hanging on by one string only attached to the ear, ignoring all the rules again, because the rules don't apply to them. On the third and final stop, we went out to a small dam made out of rocks and stones. We went back after a few minutes in the shade before making the walk back. We got back a few minutes early, so most of the entitled family was gone, but we were able to hear even more of their stories. "When this hoax began, I stockpiled up in supplies so I could laugh at all the people who believe it's real. Yeah, I ran out pretty soon, but it does not matter because I didn't get the fake COVID, so I didn't need the toilet paper. I have toilet paper stocked for 3 whole years. I even stocked up on ammo because you never know when you need them. 22 is hard to find these days, but I can manage. You still wish to kill the governor? He is truly evil, but you could get in trouble for it. I know he deserves to die. Masks and taxes are so evil. This is why I know Trump won the election. The hoaxes the Democrats spread about them winning is killing America." Someone came back walking from the side, and Entitled Dad 1 made a very racist joke. I won't repeat it here, but it involved Puerto Ricans. While we waited for the family to return, the driver kept telling people to put on their masks. Entitled Dad 1 put it over his mouth, but not his nose, and said, "He's fucking being aggressive." The majority of the family was not returning. They were still down by the dam fooling around and wasting our time. The tour was already late as it was, and then staying and goofing off prolonged our stay at the stop. Finally, after what felt like hours of waiting, the bus driver says, "Where's your family? We need to get back on the tour." "I don't fucking know." "Sir, don't use that language out in public." "Well, you asked 5 times already. Stop asking." The driver asked 1 time. As we realized they weren't getting back, the driver called in for a second shuttle bus to come pick up the rest of the family. The father kept talking trash and overall being a piece of shit in public. My grandmother and grandfather were both so close to kicking this guy's ass back to Pennsylvania. The audacity of some people to not follow the rules and be overall big pieces of shit. I'm glad I don't have to see that family ever again, since I'll be flying back the next day as of this post. Love Arizona, but ended with a bad taste in my mouth. Hey everybody, Hellfreezer here, and thank you very much for listening to the Impractical Proudness of Parents. IPOP number 55. And thank you very much to everybody who allowed me to use their stories in this video. If you enjoyed the video, then please click like, leave a comment, and if you'd like to see more, then hit subscribe. That is all super duper helpful for me in getting more people to see the videos and subscribe to the channel. Alrighty, have a little shout out here. Let's see. Shout out, shout out, shout out. Come on. Oh, I saved that somewhere, so there we are. I believe it's the author of story number 2. Yes, it is. Aha! Yes! Salt Dispenser 91. I think they're actually a subscriber now. Can't remember what their name is, but it's not Salt Dispenser. But thank you very much, Salt Dispenser 91, for allowing us to use your story. I believe that was the one about the crazy lady in the warehouse with the creepy dolls. Lovely. Okay, well, it's really late where I am. Yeah, it's almost 5:30, and I've got 2 videos to make, so I'm going to wrap things up here and go make the videos. This was a recordy stream as I record. I haven't done those for a while, so thank you very much to everybody who joined me. We went for 2 3/4 hours. That was quite an enjoyable 2 3/4 hours. I've missed doing these kind of streams, but it's only been now I felt I had enough strength to actually do 2 videos at once, while also being scintillating on stream because, you know, I'm that charming, but it does take effort. I don't have an ego. What do you mean? Anyway, I'm going to head off for now. So until next time, thank you very much for listening, and take very good care of yourselves.